Back in the day when you know, people in showbiz were traveling around in ancient Greece, they carried a tent with them. And the tent, in the same sense as it was in the desert, was for shadowing. It wasn't so much for keeping the rain off of you. So their word for a tent was a skene, which is like saying it's a shadower. You bring your shadower with you and you set it up, and they painted the backside of the skene, the tent, with what we would call a scene. And that's why we have this word now in theater for that big thing that drops down, that fabric thing that's all painted, because they traveled around and the back of the tent was like that. But remember, it's a shadower. Now, at the end of Revelations, God is going to dwell forever with his people. And it's very, very sweet, because he's saying, oh, God will wipe every tear away and he's going to live with you. Remember, this whole New Jerusalem is like a spectacular, spectacular place. And every time in Revelations it says, God's going to dwell with his people. He's going to dwell this way. He's going to dwell that way. He's going to do a whole lot of dwelling. And the last thing is, I'm going to dwell with y'all forever. It's going to be so swell. But if you look at the Greek, they got different words, because Greeks, they never, why use one word if you can use two? And like one of the things, the basic word is oikio, like economics. Oiko means house. So oikio means to house yourself, to dwell. Well, they have the basic word oikio, shows up in Revelations. Then they have these other little words like en oikio, to dwell in. Kata oikio, thoroughly, I will thoroughly dwell with my people. And sin oikio, I will dwell with my people. And it's all so touching. But the funny thing is that in the last couple of paragraphs of the book of Revelations, when God is going to really dwell with his people, this is the final thing. He says this, he says, I'm going to ski myself with you. He's saying, I'm going to pitch my tent with you, which is really sweet. Because instead of saying I'm going to oikio, I'm going to ski. I'm going to build my own little tent, just like I lived with you in the desert in this humble little place. I don't need to live in the palace. I just love you so much. All I want is to live with you in whatever little humble circumstance is acceptable. And that's it for tonight. As I say right here, God is happy to pitch his tent among his people in the New Jerusalem as he once did in the desert. So that's it for tonight, and see you next week. Thanks.